Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Wajaha and we are back with another video. Today I thought we should talk about the current DeFi space and just kind of go over how things have changed over the last few months with the bear market, because a lot of things have changed and unfortunately DeFi is probably not as exciting or maybe as lucrative as what it was during the bull market. Of course that does make sense, doesn't it? So as always, let's get straight to it. I thought, an interesting place to start off would be to just have a look at DeFi Llama. And one of the interesting things is really just seeing how much the total value locked within the entire DeFi space has kind of come down in, quite a short period of time. I mean, just back when we were at the peak of the market, we had this TVL of around 170, 180 billion dollars. And with the January February dip, that did go down maybe 20%, but we did actually get back in March to that 170 mark. Following that we did see huge drawbacks in some of these altcoin valuations, and we've really seen the total value within DeFi just drop drastically to, look at that, 55 billion in June. That's like a 70% drop into kind of total value. It kind of makes sense really, because a lot of these altcoins are around that -70, -80% mark, some of them even more than that, so I think that's kind of to be expected. And then since then we've kind of been steady on a little incline here, and are currently just under $70 billion, which to be fair, if you compare it to like, let's say 2021 April time, very similar. In fact, even during the summer lows, we're a very similar mark, around there really. So I think overall DeFi is still growing, and I would expect this to cross 100 billion again, by the end of this year, even maybe sometime next year. So I think that's just goes to show how things can change quickly in the space as well. Now, another thing that I thought was quite interesting was just seeing how some of the previously top decentralized applications have kind of changed in terms of their TVL. And the two that I think I've spoken about in the past are Curve and Convex, which are previously rank 1 and rank 2. Both of them at one point in time had over $20 billion in TVL, and now you can see that it's significantly lower at around 4 to 5 billion. Why is that? Well, I think it's pretty easy to see when you go to an application like Curve. Just the rewards just aren't as lucrative as what they were before, and I think that on top of that there was a lot of interest with some of the Terra pools, UST pools, and clearly that interest has vanished altogether. So that kind of does make sense there, but Curve's still asserting its dominance. It's still in the top 5, and it is still one of my favorite applications. So yeah, that is something interesting. Apologies for that. Uniswap as well, I found that really interesting. It's doing really well. It's holding up quite strong, 6 billion in TVL, the largest decentralized application, the largest DEX, decentralized exchange. So I think Uniswap does hold some advantage there. You've got PancakeSwap, which is via Binance, or the Binance Smart Chain, at only half of that amount. So Uniswap does have a nice advantage there, and I'm interested to see kind of what Uniswap do in the future. I think at the moment one of my concerns about Uni is just its token and not being revenue generating, but yeah, I found that really interesting as well. And then we've got MakerDAO, Lido, which is for liquid staking of Ethereum and some other assets as well, and Aave, which is your money market borrowing and lending platform. So these applications have kind of stayed relatively similar. A few changes with MakerDAO being the number one, but it's interesting to see that now MakerDAO, that not a single application has over $10 billion in TVL, whereas beforehand we had loads. We had Maker itself, Aave, Curve, we had obviously Anchor Protocol and some of the other ones as well. But yeah, because of the bear market, a lot of capital has come out of these applications, and obviously asset valuations have also gone down. So yeah, I think as we go down, I think some of these applications are poor, to be honest. I think especially some of these ones on the Tron network, I'm personally not a fan of them at all, and I think their TVL valuations have been they're higher than they should be, essentially. If we go to chains, we can see kind of how Ethereum dominance was kind of declining as other layer ones were kind of growing their networks, and you can see following the collapse of Terra, which did at one point have, look at that, a 14%, a 14% total allocation through the entire DeFi kind of ecosystem. That changed drastically following its collapse, and you can see that Ethereum did regain some of that dominance, going all the way back to 60%. And some of these other layer ones, BSC, almost hitting that 10% mark, and you can see that slowly as time's gone by, Ethereum's holding its own. You can see that Tron's really grown massively, but like I said before, I don't believe that. I think a lot of it is artificially inflated, because if you just go and have a look at some of the Tron apps, let's have a look at Just Lend. If we go here, there's a ridiculous amount of money on this application, but let's have a look if I can find it. So look at that. There's 1.5 billion in USDC, earning 0.03%. Absolutely ridiculous. And over $1 billion of Bitcoin as well. I think these assets probably belong to Justin Sun himself. So I take some of these TVLs with a pinch of salt, really. You really have to look in and see where is this capital being allocated to properly appreciate it. So yeah, I think we've got some anomalies here. I don't think Tron is actually number 2. I'd say BSC is number 2, and then you've got kind of this battle between AVAX, Solana, and Matic at the moment, which I think Arbitrum will be joining pretty soon. Arbitrum did have their issues, and they wanted some updates, and they've got the Odyssey as well. I think following that, we're going to see a lot more protocols coming to Arbitrum, and Optimism, both of these. And I think they will be increasing, and I expect both of them to be above $1 billion in the near future. Other than that, we've seen some ecosystems not really perform as well as I thought they would do. Near Protocol being one of them, which had this huge incentive program, but I haven't really seen too many interesting applications there. And yeah, other than that, really things have been kind of relatively stable. There's always some new applications coming, so that's pretty interesting. If we just go and just have a look at some of the yields here, look at these APYs. They're really low, and if they're low, then why are people going to allocate their capital and take on that additional risk of smart contract and blockchain risk? It's not really worth it. You do have some offering high yields here, but these are with volatile assets, so you're taking on that volatility risk and impermanent loss risk. I think GMX is a really interesting one, so I'll try and make a video about that in the near future. I see a lot of people using that nowadays, and there's lots of interesting things you can do there. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much where we are with DeFi at the moment. Let's see how things go. I think things will improve over time, but it is a waiting game, and it might be a year, it might be 2 years, it might be 4 years, who knows. But I do think that in the end we will be back in a bull market, and I think DeFi is only going to get better and more exciting over time. So that's all I've got for you today. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with another video soon.